Hello, fellow gardeners and soil enthusiasts. Welcome back to the Humus Heritage, where we transform gardening challenges into incredible opportunities. Today I'm thrilled to share something that's going to revolutionize the way you think about those mountains of autumn leaves covering your yard right now. If you've been raking, bagging and hauling leaves to the curb, you've been throwing away pure garden gold, but I'm about to change that forever. Let's be honest about traditional composting for just a moment. You've probably dealt with the frustrations, the smell that makes your neighbors wrinkle their noses, the enormous space requirements that commandeer half your backyard, and worst of all, the waiting game that stretches for months or even years. You diligently add materials, turn occasionally when you remember, and hope that someday you'll have something resembling usable compost. Meanwhile, those leaves you added last October are still recognizable next spring, barely broken down at all. What if I told you that those crisp autumn leaves blanketing your lawn right now aren't yard waste at all? They're a concentrated package of carbon, minerals, and potential energy just waiting to explode into the richest soil amendment you've ever created. The secret isn't patience or special equipment or even worms. The secret is heat, and I'm going to show you exactly how to harness it to create what I call hot leaves, a thermal decomposition method that produces nutrient-dense humus in just 2 weeks. The magic behind this accelerated method lies in understanding thermal decomposition and how to trigger it intentionally. When organic materials break down through aerobic decomposition, microorganisms consume carbon and nitrogen, multiplying rapidly and generating substantial heat as a byproduct of their metabolic activity. In a properly constructed hot leaf pile, temperatures can soar between 130 and 160 degrees Fahrenheit, creating an environment where decomposition happens at lightning speed. The key difference between regular composting and hot leaf transformation is intensity. Traditional compost heaps meander through decomposition at whatever pace conditions allow, often staying cool and taking months to break down. Hot leaf piles are deliberately engineered to hit and maintain high temperatures continuously. This thermal environment doesn't just speed up the process, it fundamentally changes it. The heat breaks down cellular structures rapidly, kills weed seeds and pathogens, and creates a finished product that's darker, richer, and more biologically active than anything you'd get from cold composting. When you visit your hot leaf pile after just a few days, you'll notice something dramatic. While traditional compost might smell earthy or sometimes unpleasantly sour, properly managed hot leaves emit a clean, almost sweet aroma reminiscent of a forest floor after rain. The leaves themselves transform from crispy, recognizable foliage into a dark, crumbly substance that looks and feels like the richest topsoil you've ever seen. This is the humus that plants absolutely thrive in. The transformation begins with preparation, and this step determines your success more than anything else. Shredding your leaves isn't just helpful, it's absolutely critical for achieving that explosive heat. Whole leaves have a waxy coating that resists moisture and decomposition, but when you shred them into small pieces, you dramatically increase the surface area available for microbial colonization. The fastest method is running your lawnmower over a thin layer of dry leaves spread across your grass, collecting them in the mower bag as finely chopped material. If you're working with smaller quantities, place leaves in a large garbage bin and use a string trimmer to chop them up. Once your leaves are shredded, you need to balance them with nitrogen-rich materials to fuel the microbial explosion that creates heat. This is where the 3-to-1 ratio becomes your formula for success. 3 parts shredded leaves to 1 part nitrogen-rich greens. Fresh grass clippings work beautifully, as do vegetable kitchen scraps like coffee grounds, fruit and vegetable peels, or even a nitrogen-rich fertilizer if you're short on fresh greens. The leaves provide the carbon fuel, but the nitrogen is like gasoline on the fire, feeding the microorganisms that will generate the heat you need. Size matters significantly in hot composting. Your pile needs sufficient mass to generate and retain heat, which is why a 3-foot cube is the recommended minimum. You can contain this in a simple wire cage made from hardware cloth or chicken wire, a wooden pallet structure, or even just a free-standing pile if you have the space. As you build, add water generously until the mixture feels like a well-wrung sponge throughout. This moisture level is crucial because decomposition happens in a water-based medium. Too dry, and the microbes can't function. Too wet, and you'll drive out the oxygen they need. To supercharge the initial microbial population, mix in a shovelful or two of finished compost or rich garden soil from an established bed. This inoculation introduces billions of decomposer organisms ready to colonize your fresh leaf mixture immediately. Think of it as adding starter culture to make yogurt. You're seeding the pile with exactly the organisms you want to dominate the decomposition process. Within 24 to 48 hours of building your pile, you should notice warmth radiating from its core. The pile will heat up dramatically as microbial populations explode, consuming the readily available sugars and proteins in your green materials first, before tackling the more resistant compounds in the leaves. Your job during this phase is to maintain the conditions these microbes need: moisture, oxygen, and contact between materials. Turning the pile is the single most important maintenance task. Every 2 to 3 days, use a pitchfork or shovel to thoroughly mix the contents, moving material from the outside edges into the center and redistributing the core material outward. This reintroduces oxygen that the microbes have consumed, redistributes moisture throughout the pile, breaks up clumps, and ensures that all material spends time in the hot core where decomposition happens fastest. Yes, this is physical work, but it's the difference between success in 2 weeks and waiting 2 months. During each turning, check the moisture level by grabbing a handful of material and squeezing. If water drips out easily, the pile is too wet. Add more dry shredded leaves. If the material feels dry and dusty, spray it thoroughly with a hose as you turn it. The wrung-out sponge consistency is your constant target. Also, take note of the smell. A properly functioning hot pile smells clean and earthy. If you detect ammonia, you have too much nitrogen. Add more shredded leaves. If it smells rotten or sour, you lack oxygen or have too much moisture. Turn it immediately and consider adding dry material. After about 2 weeks of attentive turning and moisture management, you'll notice that your pile has transformed completely. The volume will have shrunk to maybe 1/3 of its original size. The material will be uniformly dark and crumbly, and individual leaf pieces will be, well, unrecognizable. The smell should be rich and earthy, kind of like a forest floor. This is finished humus, and it's ready to transform your garden. The beauty of this hot leaf method is that the finished product is so biologically active and nutrient-rich that you can actually use it immediately, without any aging period. You just spread it generously across established garden beds as a top dressing, working it lightly into the top few inches of soil. For new planting areas, you can incorporate it deeply, mixing it thoroughly with native soil to improve structure and fertility. The humus improves clay soils by adding air spaces and organic matter, and it enhances sandy soils by increasing water retention. In raised beds and containers, this hot leaf humus is absolute gold. Mix it at a ratio of 1 part humus to 3 or 4 parts existing soil, and, honestly, just watch your plants respond with vigorous growth. The microbial life you've cultivated continues working in your soil, breaking down additional organic matter, making nutrients available to plants, and, creating the complex soil food web that sustains healthy plant growth long-term. Right now, as autumn leaves fall abundantly, you have an incredible opportunity staring you in the face. Instead of viewing those leaves as waste requiring disposal, recognize them as a free, renewable resource that can dramatically improve your garden's productivity. The environmental benefits are substantial. You're keeping organic matter out of landfills, eliminating carbon emissions from municipal collection, and creating a soil amendment on-site instead of purchasing bagged products transported from distant facilities. Economically, this method is unbeatable. Bagged compost can cost anywhere from $5 to $15 per cubic foot at garden centers. Your investment is simply time and physical effort, and in return, you get unlimited quantities of premium soil amendment. Start your hot leaf pile this weekend, and by the time 2 weeks have passed, you'll be spreading rich, dark humus that would cost hundreds of dollars to purchase. Don't let this season's leaves go to waste. Start building your hot leaf pile today. If you found this guide valuable, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our innovative gardening methods. Share this video with fellow gardeners who are still bagging their leaves, and let's transform yards across the community. Drop a comment below sharing your hot leaf success stories or questions. Here at the Humus Heritage, we're building better soil together, one pile at a time. Happy composting, and I'll see you in the next video.